The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. All right, it's time to head over to Bleeding Cool because I haven't had a venereal disease in a while. Let's see, DC Image so Marvel, DC, and Image Comics all want a comic store sales chart. Now, I'm going to read this article. I suspect other people will do videos on this too because it's just kind of batshit insane, but let's do it anyway. So, by the way, before we get into this, what is the basic premise here? The basic premise here is once upon a time, there was a comic sales chart that would sort of get reported online, and you can see some numbers. Comic-Con used to put stuff out, but it was, there were still other details there. What's funny about this is I have a long memory, and I recall at one point, people would point to the Comic-Con sales charts and point to the fact that comics like Squirrel Girl, that's where a lot of this came up, wasn't selling particularly well. At least it wasn't in the top selling comics of Marvel's time. And if you were around during this time period, people said, well, the Comic-Con sales charts are highly inaccurate because they don't include digital sales and they don't, like Squirrel Girl is selling amazing on Comixology, like amazing. And so there was this, for several years, there was the, you can't trust those sales numbers because those sales numbers aren't real sales numbers. Now that the comic sales are no longer being reported on Comic-Con, now that the sales numbers are no longer as accurate, now suddenly people are nostalgic and reminiscent of the comic sales that Comic-Con used to have. Once upon a time, and it wasn't proving the narrative in the moment, they were inaccurate and bullshit. Now suddenly, they're super accurate if we only had the numbers there. And the reason the comic sales are actually doing great. Mark Millar did this interview where he said comic sales are down, and this weird amount of people came out of the woodwork to claim that. And this is the problem, by the way, in comics in general, is that people don't go with the simple lie; they go with the big ass lie. So in this case, they went with the, hey, Mark Millar is not telling the truth. Comic sales are they're actually huge. They're better than they've ever been. Now, people could have said, hey, Mark Millar is exaggerating a little bit. Comic sales are down, but they're not that down. Things are still okay. A lot of these comics are selling. He's exaggerating. They could have gone with that. Instead, they went with comic sales are bigger than they've ever been in the history of comics, which is flat out bullshit. And anyone with any ounce of common sense knows this. This is not an internet troll position. This is a sheer logic position of once upon a time, comics were sold in the newsstand and all over the country, and now they're sold in comic shops. And no matter what kind of lipstick you want to put on that pig, there are fewer comic shops today than there were 10 years ago. Just there are, factually. So you either have to believe that the fewer comic stores are selling more volume of comics, or by natural selection, fewer comics are being sold. It's the second one. And we all know this. And that doesn't mean the comic industry is failing. It doesn't mean that, libtard SJWs are ruining everything. It's just an objective fact. It's just numbers. You don't have to put all this other bullshit into it. It's just numbers. Anyway, so that's what's going on. So Bleeding Cool weighs in to let us know that Marvel, DC, and Image secretly want comic sale numbers. So let's go into this. It says, last week, Bleeding Cool ran an article looking at the current industry desire for a proper comic store sales chart in the way that the Diamond comic distributors used to be able to provide before the monopoly fell. And the comic book, by the way, it's interesting that we went from anyone who would go away from Diamond as a sociopath to it was a monopoly. So it's kind of weird to see Bleeding Cool admit that it was a monopoly. I thought monopolies were bad, but I don't know, maybe not. He says, Rich Johnson says, I understand it was passed around a number of private Facebook groups, publisher Slack channels, and according to IP traffic reports, staff at Diamond, Lunar, Penguin, Random House, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and Entertainment Weekly. Okay, let me dissect this for a minute. So first off, I'm in a ton of Facebook groups. I'm in a handful of Slack groups. The I wish I knew how much this comic has sold has been a topic of conversation for roughly 20 years. in Facebook and the last 10 years in Slack. That happens all the time. This isn't new news. But here's the crazy part. According to IP traffic reports, staff at Diamond, Lunar, and Penguin Random House and Entertainment Weekly according to IP traffic reports, what the fuck are you talking about? That's not how technology works. IP is an address. It's everybody has one. When you go on the internet, you have an IP address. That's kind of your access into the into kind of this general it's how you access the internet. It's your address. I don't even know. Like, good god damn it. Go look up IP address for wiki. This technology am I to understand here that Rich Johnston is somehow viewing IP traffic reports and somehow that's telling him that people are having a conversation about weekly comic book chat? That makes no goddamn sense. Fuck you. That is not how tech works. Just Jesus Christ, dude. Dumbass, that's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. According to IP traffic reports, people like Arby's sandwiches. What do you mean? What are you talking about? You dipshit. Okay, anyway, we continue. I'm sorry, but that is legitimately the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. I don't know. I'm sure I've heard dumber things, but it's pretty goddamn stupid. My question is, who is the dumbass rube who's reading that going, oh my God, Rich is on to something? I've read the IP traffic reports from Variety. What? What? By the way, every single person who has any ounce of technologist in them is laughing their ass off in this moment right now. Because you're with me. That makes no sense at all. Okay, here we go. Now we start up in Rich and his classic firm grasp of the English language continues, especially since, I have been reliably informed that the three biggest direct market publishers, Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and Image Comics, have let it be known that they would like those numbers out there for many reasons given. That's not even a sentence. You dumb fuck. What are you doing? What are you doing? God damn it. So it makes you give you brain damage reading this shit. Seriously, you suck. You suck at the English language, Rich. All right. DC, Image, and Marvel Comics have let it be known that they would like to have numbers. All right. Here's the thing. They have numbers. But here's another thing. So every company that exists, look for competitor data. If you are in the business of toothbrushes, if you're in the business of razors, if you're in the business of video games, if you're in the business of everything, you want to know how you're doing and how your competitors are doing. But here's the thing. You know how you're doing. Your information goes into your Salesforce implementation in your company, and you know what your numbers are. You know because you have to pay your fucking sales team a commission, and you have to report those earnings as part of being a company. You know what your numbers are. And you generally pay or get information from market data, whether it's, BookScan or whether it's GFK or whether it's any number of sources that basically give you reports on how the industry that you're in are doing. And they give you aggregate information so you know relative how things are going. And then every quarter, if it's a public company, companies basically have to announce their earnings. Now, granted, they can lie, but if you get caught lying, you go to jail. Not you get a slap on the hand, you go to prison. So the numbers come out if you're a public company, and two of those three public companies are public. That information is there. So I have reliable sources inside companies that would like to know how their competitors are doing. No shit, idiot. Of course they do. Everybody does. The article continues. But Marvel and DC especially won't share any data unless they're all sharing data. No, okay, idiot. They won't. No company like DC, just like Colgate, just like Toyota, just like any company that produces anything is not going to voluntarily just daily, monthly, whatever it is, put out their sales information. That is proprietary data. That's how the world works, you dumb fuck. That's how it works. They're not just going to voluntarily put information out. So, yeah, no, it's like they'll not put out their data unless everybody puts out data. This is not some big commune socialist hippie island. This is not how information works. The fuck? Idiot. Okay, so it goes, and neither is willing to go first or to trust anyone to be an impartial third party. Thank you. Thank you for information that everyone fucking knows. It turns out McDonald's doesn't voluntarily publish their sales information to Burger King. Why in the hell would they do that? Why is this news? Who is reading this going, wow, I am being informed by now? Nobody. All right. Now the article continues because we're not at the batshit crazy part yet, are you? Bleeding Cool has been mentioned as someone who would be utterly independent of all three. Fuck off. You have not. That is your own wild, wet dream fantasy. And I'd happily offer my services in this regard. I'm sure you would, because you have no career, hope, or general salary, and you'd love to get paid for anything. But nobody's going to take you up on it, because the majority of those three companies mentioned, I don't know about Image, but certainly Marvel and DC have kind of a no-talk-to order about you in particular. The industry views you as a pariah. You know this. We all know this. Okay, so, but political matters at Warner Brothers and Disney seem to make that a no-go right now because you're on the no-talk-to list. I don't know about DC. On Marvel, I believe I know. I've heard rumors. At Marvel, I know 100% you're on a no-talk-to list. Some of the creators do anyway, but from a company perspective, they won't talk to you. So no, they're not going to trust you with their sales data. Jesus Christ. And then he continues, and no one else with a reputation, from Heidi McDonald to Graham McMillan. What? Yeah, okay. Yeah, no one else with a reputation is seen as independent enough. God damn it. This article is breaking my brain. So we're stuck. Yeah, nobody's going to trust this bag of fools to do this work. Yeah. Well, look. Okay, so I'm sorry. Let me back it up a little bit. These are all public companies. They have CFOs. They have legal responsibilities in reporting of their financial and sales data. Do you understand that if they casually report information as a public company, that can be seen as insider trading and people will go to prison? That's how this works if you have any knowledge of business. So no, they're not going to randomly trust Heidi McDonald or Rich Johnston with their sales data to give a report because a couple creators on Facebook have said, gee whiz, I'd really love to know how my title is selling compared to The Flash. Wouldn't we all? But this is come on, this is not a hobby. Here's the crazy part, and this is the fucking annoying thing about comics, is that no matter how we want to believe it is, no matter what we may think, no matter all the video commentaries you may get from all the doom-scrolling, black-pilled video channels out there, comics do make money. And companies that are public businesses, in particular, ones that are associated with their parent companies, ones that have to report earnings to the stock market, this is serious business. There are controls in place. This is not a place where a bunch of kind of random people on your block are just making comics out of their treehouse and making $15. There's actual money and licenses and all kinds of things reporting to this. This is a business, in other words, and this just doesn't work. Fucking A. This is a problem with comics. It's not a clubhouse. And if you, no matter how much you fucking hate Marvel, no matter how much you think this company is being run into the ground, it is still profitable. No matter what you've heard on Cosmic Book News or, or some of these other sites, no matter what you've heard, they are making money. And it is a serious business where they have commitments and they have legal responsibilities. And even though some of the people fuck it up from time to time, it is still a legal entity that has to report earnings and do all the rest. This is not some kind of buddy market. This is dumb. I can continue. I understand that the Comic Book Retailer Association, Comics Pro, is working on something with BookScan, but that's at least 2 to 3 years out because they believe They need data standards just to get started. I, I, I don't even know what he's trying to say there. This is like, I would say this is written by ChatGPT, but ChatGPT has better grammar and structure and doesn't sound this stupid. Even if you write into ChatGPT, please explain to me how the comic book business works, but explain to me like you're drunk. It still would make more sense than this. As it stands, Bleeding Cool will be running monthly and weekly top bestseller lists covering comic book stores, courtesy of data shared by ComicsHub, which represents around 3% of the digital market, or direct market, and is seen as representative. No, it is not. No. Okay, look, let me explain to you math for the moment, for all of you listening at home. Okay, you have a group of comic stores. 3% are using some software called ComicsHub. 97% are not. 3% of a result is not indicative or representative of fuck all. That is one reason why when it's election time, whether like Rich or in the UK, or whether in the US, or whether in Nigeria, or whether you're wherever the hell you are in the world, when 3% of the voting results come in, they do not call the race. Why? Because that would be stupid, and it's not representative of anything. So, yes, the one bit of honesty in this entire article is that true, ComicsHub represents 3% of the direct market, which means the data that comes out of it is entertaining, interesting in a I'm talking to 3 people out of 100 about what's going on. But this is the same kind of dumbass logic that if you went downtown to whatever town you live in and you interviewed 100 people and then 3% of the people say, you know, I like to dress up in a furry costume. And you said, well, clearly the majority of all people are furries. That is the level of logic you have here. Or, to put it another way, if 3% of the population says, I think Arby's is real food, and 97% said Arby's is some kind of weird, inhuman garbage food, you don't take the 3% as representative of fuck all. That's not exactly what's going on here, because 3% is saying a variety of things. So it's not actually that 3% are saying anything. It's that 3% are giving you data, 97% are not, which means it's even less indicative than that. Anyway, I don't even know what the hell to. Anyway, so that's the article. Look, would we like to see real comic numbers? Absolutely, we would. Will we ever see real comic book numbers? Probably not. Why? Because the market has splintered. Because the parent companies, Warner and Disney in particular, have taken more interest, and because Image, which is facing union investigations and would probably like to grow as a company, and a lot of the other independents, they're basically their parent companies all are raising investment. I mean, there really aren't independent comic companies out there right now who are bootstrapped and funded by themselves. A lot of them have angel investors or parent companies or other things going on in their makeup, which means reporting sales is difficult. But you know what's not difficult is in this new state, and despite what Rich is hearing on Facebook, all the companies enjoy the fact that right now they can say, my comic is the number one comic in a month. You can do that right now. I mean, fuck it, why not? There's no data out there. Just be the first to say, hey, you know what's selling the best? I don't know, whatever the fuck Boom published this month, it's the number one comic of the month. Who's going to deny it? Nobody can. So, fuck it. Why not? Marvel can get out there and say The Amazing Spider-Man is selling better than it ever has before in its entire history of publishing. Sure. I mean, go ahead. Who can deny it? Nobody can. That's the world we live in right now. No matter what people are saying on Facebook or through IP scans of sites, a lot of the comic publishers enjoy this current state where they could say whatever the fuck they want and nobody can basically dispute it. So, what the hell? This is Anyway, I got animated because that article was so goddamn stupid. I got sent that article by a few people, and they're like, look at this dumb shit. And I think everybody else was amused. And I read it, and I'm like, oh, fuck this article. And that's how I feel. So now you all feel that way too. Anyway, everybody behaving exactly like you could predict they would behave. Have a nice day, Comics Land. Thanks for listening.
Where is cancel culture when you need it?